Corruption by P.K. Armstrong. Chapter 32. The center of Sorensen Farms was only a 20-minute journey from Fillmore city limits. The northern part of its 160 acres butted up against a beautiful flat meadow that was of late in the news. The meadow was suspected of being a lake bed thousands of years ago. It was a large piece of land, uncharacteristically flat compared to the hills, rocks, and boulders that peppered the land surrounding it. Its terrain and location were of interest to the Sorensens, who were rumored to have been making inquiries into a land purchase. It would add considerable acreage to their holdings and give them the space they needed for a hotel, lodge, and glamping cabins. There was some competition from city developers. Their plans for the property included a racetrack, hotels, dining, a sporting goods store known for its indoor rock climbing wall, and a large furniture warehouse cellar. On top of that, add the interest of the environmentalists who wished to preserve the area as a natural habitat and were investigating the type of fauna and wildlife found therein. For Angel, the journey reminded her of Saturday morning donuts at Petey's, and either her mom, dad, or both cheering her on as she learned the finer points of equestrianism. She had stopped for coffee after leaving the prison and was just finishing as she pulled into Sorensen's parking lot. As she was walking towards the entrance, the front doors opened and a man walked down the steps to greet her. "Hello, Theodore Sorensen." "Angelica." She shook his extended hand. "I was looking to speak with someone about a reservation," Angel replied, her tone natural. She had decided to approach the owners with the task of finding the perfect location for a weekend camping trip for 10 preteen girls, hoping it would result in a tour of the property. It seemed her hunch was correct. "My Aunt Olivia is who you would speak to, but she had an appointment." Theodore Sorensen was lanky, dressed in dingy boots, jeans, t-shirt, and a large long-sleeve flannel shirt. He looked like he had been working, his jeans covered in dust and his brown hair mussed. He looked at Angel intently with brown eyes fringed with long lashes, the envy of any woman. Not necessarily good-looking, but his easy smile was appealing. "I have some time. I'd be happy to show you around, and then if you have specific questions, maybe you could call Olivia later." "That would be great. Thank you for your time." As they turned toward the property, Theodore Sorensen asked, "What made you think of Sorensens?" Angel glanced sideways at him, and his face remained relaxed, with a good-natured friendliness, so she assumed he was just making conversation. "I used to take horse riding lessons here." Theodore stopped abruptly. "So," he said slowly, "you wouldn't be adverse to a tour on horseback?" He smiled suggestively. Angel chuckled. "I don't know about that. It's been years since I've been on a horse." "All the more reason you should ride." Theodore changed direction towards the stables, and Angel followed. On horseback, she would be able to see more of the property. The horse Theodore selected for her was older, with soft eyes. He brought the gentle beast close to the mounting block. "This is Tickle. She's patient and gentle and has been teaching people how to ride for years. Just what you need to get reacclimated. Besides, she needs to be exercised today." He patted the horse lovingly. Angel approached the gray and pet her velvety nose. "Do you mind showing me the ropes?" she whispered to the horse. "What a beautiful girl you are." Tickle gave a soft whinny in response. Angel stepped up onto the block, grabbing the reins and a little bit of mane with her right hand. She placed her left across to the other side of the saddle on the swell. Placing her foot in the stirrup, she swung her leg over and picked up her other stirrup. She sighed, glad she didn't make a fool of herself. "I see you haven't forgotten how to properly mount a horse," Theodore said approvingly, and mounted his black. "This is Toro," he said, patting his mount, and raised his eyes to look at Angel expectantly. "You call your horse Bull?" She laughed. He grinned. My baby cousin's favorite children's book at the time was about a clumsy bull, so naturally, the first time she saw the horse, she kept calling him Toro. Cute, Angel said. So where do we go first? They ambled toward a distant hill using a well-worn horse trail. Just over the hill is a campground. You will see on the way that we did build bathrooms and showers. Most people say they like camping, but a shovel and a plastic bag are a bit of a stretch. They approached the building and Angel nodded at the well-apportioned boys' and girls' restrooms and showers. They crested the hill and spread out below them were two campsites facing each other about 20 feet apart. To ease amateurs into the experience, the tent pins were already in the ground with bungee cord attachments. There was a large cooking area with a long table on each side of it for food preparation for each group. There was an old-time water pump and tubs to wash dishes. The campground had room for 10 tents. So we could double up and just use half of the campground? Theodore nodded. Yes, if you don't want to share with strangers, though. His voice trailed off. Angel nodded and looked around her at the vast space. She noticed a wooded area that began a few paces away. Can we go for a trail ride as part of the weekend? Theodore fell into her plan. Yes, of course. Why don't I show you where it will take you? Moving past the campsite, they traveled north through a narrow path surrounded by trees. Angel looked around her and saw no outbuildings or rundown shacks. The property, although wild in some areas, was maintained. The sun was blocked by the trees and the undergrowth patted the horses' hooves. She felt as if she was wrapped in a cocoon. The deeper they moved into the woods, the quieter it became. The horses moved sedately, their heads bobbing with each step. I forget how relaxing this could be, she whispered, as if speaking louder would break a spell. I ride every morning. He twisted a little in the saddle so he could see her face. You know, one with nature and all of that. Angel smiled. Theodore Sorensen was a nice man, at least on the surface, but Angel got the sense that he was trying too hard. It put her on edge. Suddenly, sunlight hit her face as they broke through the edge of the woods. The path widened out, so Theodore stopped until she was at his side. Pointing east, he explained. In areas like this, you can dismount and do a little exploring, collect bugs, flowers. If you listen, you can hear a running brook that is fun to visit as well. Angel moved forward past some boulders and noticed a break in some trees to the northwest. What's going on over there? She pointed to where some trees had been felled. Nothing really. He shrugged. There were some developers interested in the land that borders ours. They wanted to build a race course, but I think that deal stalled. Would you like to see where the stream empties out? Angel found his abrupt change of topic curious. No, I think I've seen enough. Maybe I could get with Olivia on pricing? Sure, let's head back. Driving back towards town, Angel admitted that she didn't quite know why she felt the need to visit Sorensen Farms. There was a half-hearted idea that maybe Cindy Mailer was living or being held there, but Angel didn't think so. She did know that she did not like the feeling she had after spending an hour with Theodore Sorensen. It could have been because he was related to David Sorensen, but she didn't think so. He got especially shifty when she made a brief comment about the land that was in dispute. She needed some background on the business of Sorensen Farms, and she knew exactly where to get it. Theodore Teddy Sorensen walked from the stables. Angelica was a beautiful woman. He had thought about inviting her to dinner, but then he got flustered when she pointed out the land deal and didn't follow through. He stopped after reaching the top of the stairs leading into the part of the house reserved for the offices. He leaned against the wooden support beam and surveyed his lands. Whenever he was alone and looked out like this, that is exactly how he viewed it, as his. He loved the lands, of course. He would have to be dedicated to them the way he was. But he loved the way ownership made him feel. Important. Any family member in the trust reaped profits, whether they put in the work or not. But he worked for it all, so yes, it was his, and he wouldn't allow anyone to take it from him. Some of his family looked down on him for it, like his cousin David. When David was in college, he decided he didn't want the life, changed his degree to criminal justice, and became a cop. The only time they saw him was at family occasions, births, weddings, and deaths. Cousin David looked down on them all, and Theodore hated him for it. One day David would learn what he was capable of.